Hi, my name is Colin Ryan, and this is Open Source Intelligence. And a quick disclaimer before we begin this presentation is this is for educational purposes only, and none of the tests have actually been performed. So we're going to imagine a Fortune 500 company hired us for penetration tests. And for this company, I chose Intel, and we're also going to look into the C-suite officer, which I chose the vice president of the engineer group. So with the penetration methodology, we have 7 cyber operations. This is target identification, reconnaissance, gaining access, hiding presence, establishing persistence, execution, and assessment. And really in this lab, we're only going to go over target identification, reconnaissance, and gaining access. Since we've already identified our target, we're going to move on to reconnaissance. So I used a resource called Meltigo, and I was able to pull some email addresses associated with Intel. And one that really stood out to me was the COVID-19. And this email address looked like a really good one to mimic to use in a spear phishing attempt that would allow a target to trust it, because COVID guidelines are changing constantly and COVID has affected the workplace so much. Once I got further in reconnaissance, I was able to get some employee information. I was unable to locate any information about the C-suite officer. However, I did find an engineer called Dan, which we were able to get the corporate email address from. Now, why I couldn't pull any more information on Dan, I was able to use another resource, LinkedIn, which helped me further. On LinkedIn, I was able to discover Dan was a senior principal engineer who's worked for Intel for a very long time. It also looks like he worked under the C-suite. And so I was also able to get his location as well. So LinkedIn offered a pretty good amount of information that I could use in my spear phishing attempt. So now we're going to look at attack vectors. And attack vectors are compromised credentials, phishing, malware, insider threats, missing weak encryption, or unpatched devices and systems. And so really we're going to just focus on those first 3 attack vectors for this lab. So compromised credentials is a username and a password exposed to unauthorized entities. This allows for insider access and privileged access. Phishing, for this lab, we're going into spear phishing attack. This is sending emails posing as a known or trusted sender in order to induce targeted individuals to reveal confidential information. And then malware, which is software designed to damage, disrupt, or gain unauthorized access. So let's start putting together our spear phishing email. So I was able to uncover Intel's COVID-19 address. So we're going to mimic our email address to match that. And then we're going to create a message to persuade the target to click on the link. And then in that link, we'll insert malicious content or a fake login to copy their credentials. And so here is a screenshot of the spear phishing email I created. And so up there we have dan@intel.com. We're going to send it to. The subject's just update on Intel COVID-19 policies. And I put in an Intel logo to make it feel like more corporate, businessy. Also below it showing the date it was sent to all employees. And then I just generalized the email. And since we discovered the location from LinkedIn, we're going to say with the recent changes to Oregon's COVID guidelines where he lives, we're making an adjustment to Intel's COVID-19 policies and guidelines. And then we kind of put a reason, why are we making these changes? Well, we're going to reflect the new environment, the changes that are still ongoing, and then we just want them to please review the new policies and procedures. And then I put COVID-19 resources to look like a resource page. However, that's where the malicious link would be inserted. And then I just signed it off saying I was part of the Intel COVID-19 response team. So now we're going to look at legal authorities and ethics from a Christian perspective. So when performing penetration testing, do not venture outside of your scope. Also obtain documented authorization. Do not release any of this information to the public. Otherwise, you could have legal repercussions such as fines or even jail time. And from a Christian perspective, you're in a position of trust. You need to integrate your faith into the workplace, and your goal is to find vulnerabilities and protect them before an attacker can exploit them. You have all the abilities to do harm, but you're using your abilities to do good. And I just want to end with a Bible verse: do to others as you would have them do to you. Thank you for listening.